Ready to take your English to the next level while diving into delicious stories? Let's get started. Welcome to MA English. We're thrilled to have you here. Today, we have an exciting video lined up for you. We're going to practice English through two fascinating conversations about favorite foods from around the world. In this video, we'll show each conversation twice to maximize your learning experience. The first conversation will be shown without captions to sharpen your listening skills. Then, we'll replay it with captions so you can interact with the characters and practice your speaking and listening using the shadowing technique. For the second conversation, captions will be on from the beginning to help you practice shadowing. On the replay, you'll switch to the duet exercise, taking the place of the guest and speaking their lines in the conversation. So, sharpen your ears, get ready to speak, and discover the delicious world of English language learning. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more awesome lessons, and leave a comment below. Tell us your favorite dish from your country and why. We can't wait to hear from you. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we're hitting the streets to talk to people about their favorite foods and the stories behind them. Let's see who we can find. Ah, here's someone now. Hello there.
Oh my gosh, I recognize you. You're from that YouTube channel, right? I love your videos.
That's right. What's your name?
I'm Rola. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Rola. So, where are you from?
I'm originally from Lebanon, but I've been living in the US for the past few years. I came here for university and now I'm working here.
That's fantastic. Lebanon is such a beautiful country. What do you do for work?
I work in marketing for a company. It's really exciting, but also quite challenging at times.
I can imagine. So, Rola, we're doing a segment on people's favorite foods today. Do you have a favorite dish that you miss from back home?
Oh, absolutely. My favorite dish is kibbeh. It's a traditional Lebanese dish and it just brings back so many memories for me.
Kibbeh, that's a wonderful choice. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Sure. Kibbeh is made from bulgur wheat, minced onions, and finely ground lean beef, lamb, or goat. It's seasoned with a mix of spices, including cinnamon, allspice, and nutmeg. There are different types of kibbeh too, like the baked one, the fried balls, and even a raw version, which is my personal favorite.
That sounds delicious. How is the raw kibbeh prepared?
The raw kibbeh, or kibbeh naya, is a bit like a Lebanese steak tartare. You have to use the freshest meat possible. It's mixed with bulgur, finely chopped onions, and spices, and then kneaded together. We usually eat it with fresh mint leaves, olive oil, and pita bread.
That sounds amazing. Is there a special memory you have associated with kibbeh?
Oh, so many. Kibbeh was always a big part of our family gatherings. I remember as a kid, we'd all gather in my grandmother's kitchen. She had this huge wooden bowl and a pestle, and we'd help her grind the meat by hand. It was a real family effort. The kitchen would be filled with the smell of spices, and there'd be laughter and stories. Those were some of the happiest times.
That sounds like a wonderful family tradition. Do you ever make kibbeh here in the US?
I do, but it's not quite the same. It's hard to find the exact ingredients and the same quality of meat. But I try my best. It helps me feel connected to home, especially on days when I feel a bit homesick.
It must be tough being so far from home. Do you have any funny stories about making kibbeh here?
Oh, definitely. There was this one time I decided to make kibbeh for a potluck at work. I was so excited to share it with my colleagues. But as soon as I started kneading the meat, my roommate's cat jumped up on the counter and started trying to eat it. I was chasing the cat around the kitchen, trying to save the kibi. My friends still tease me about that to this day.
That's hilarious. I'm glad the cat didn't ruin your dish. How did your colleagues like the kibi?
They loved it. Many of them had never tried Lebanese food before, and they were really curious. It sparked a lot of conversations about different cuisines and cultural traditions. It was a great way to share a piece of my heritage with them.
That's wonderful to hear. Food really does bring people together. It sounds like kibi is more than just a dish for you, it's a connection to your roots and your family.
Exactly. Whenever I make kibi, I feel like I'm bringing a piece of Lebanon with me. It's comforting, especially when I start to feel homesick. It's amazing how a simple dish can hold so much meaning and memory.
It really is. Do you have any plans to visit Lebanon soon?
I hope so. I try to go back at least once a year to see my family and reconnect with my roots. It's always a wonderful feeling to be home, to hear the familiar sounds and smell the familiar scents, and of course, to enjoy the food.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your love for kibi with us, Rola. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we're hitting the streets to talk to people about their favorite foods and the stories behind them. Let's see who we can find. Ah, here's someone now. Hello there.
Oh my gosh, I recognize you. You're from that YouTube channel, right? I love your videos.
That's right. What's your name?
I'm Rola. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Rola. So, where are you from?
I'm originally from Lebanon, but I've been living in the US for the past few years. I came here for university and now I'm working here.
That's fantastic. Lebanon is such a beautiful country. What do you do for work?
I work in marketing for a company. It's really exciting, but also quite challenging at times.
I can imagine. So, Rola, we're doing a segment on people's favorite foods today. Do you have a favorite dish that you miss from back home?
Oh, absolutely. My favorite dish is kibi. It's a traditional Lebanese dish and it just brings back so many memories for me.
Kibi, that's a wonderful choice. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Sure. Kibi is made from bulgur wheat, minced onions, and finely ground lean beef, lamb, or goat. It's seasoned with a mix of spices, including cinnamon, allspice, and nutmeg. There are different types of kibi too, like the baked one, the fried balls, and even a raw version, which is my personal favorite.
That sounds delicious. How is the raw kibi prepared?
The raw kibi, or kibi naya, is a bit like a Lebanese steak tartare. You have to use the freshest meat possible. It's mixed with bulgur, finely chopped onions, and spices, and then kneaded together. We usually eat it with fresh mint leaves, olive oil, and pita bread.
That sounds amazing. Is there a special memory you have associated with kibi?
Oh, so many! Kibi was always a big part of our family gatherings. I remember as a kid, we'd all gather in my grandmother's kitchen. She had this huge wooden bowl and a pestle, and we'd help her grind the meat by hand. It was a real family effort. The kitchen would be filled with the smell of spices, and there'd be laughter and stories. Those were some of the happiest times.
That sounds like a wonderful family tradition. Do you ever make kibi here in the US?
I do, but it's not quite the same. It's hard to find the exact ingredients and the same quality of meat. But I try my best. It helps me feel connected to home, especially on days when I feel a bit homesick.
It must be tough being so far from home. Do you have any funny stories about making kibi here?
Oh, definitely. There was this one time I decided to make kibi for a potluck at work. I was so excited to share it with my colleagues. But as soon as I started kneading the meat, my roommate's cat jumped up on the counter and started trying to eat it. I was chasing the cat around the kitchen, trying to save the kibbe. My friends still tease me about that to this day.
That's hilarious. I'm glad the cat didn't ruin your dish. How did your colleagues like the kibbe?
They loved it. Many of them had never tried Lebanese food before, and they were really curious. It sparked a lot of conversations about different cuisines and cultural traditions. It was a great way to share a piece of my heritage with them.
That's wonderful to hear. Food really does bring people together. It sounds like kibbe is more than just a dish for you, it's a connection to your roots and your family.
Exactly. Whenever I make kibbe, I feel like I'm bringing a piece of Lebanon with me. It's comforting, especially when I start to feel homesick. It's amazing how a simple dish can hold so much meaning and memory.
It really is. Do you have any plans to visit Lebanon soon?
I hope so. I try to go back at least once a year to see my family and reconnect with my roots. It's always a wonderful feeling to be home, to hear the familiar sounds and smell the familiar scents, and of course, to enjoy the food.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your love for kibbe with us, Rola. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Hello again, everyone. We're back on the streets to find out more about people's favorite foods and the wonderful stories behind them. Our next guest looks like he might have an interesting tale to tell. Hello there. Do you have a moment to chat?
Why not? I'm always happy to engage in a bit of friendly conversation. What did you have in mind? I'm Ken. By the way,
Nice to meet you too, Ken. So, tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Japan, but I've been living here in the US for the past few years with my wife and our young son.
That's wonderful. Japan is known for its incredible cuisine. What do you do for work here?
I work as a software engineer for a tech company. It's pretty demanding but also very rewarding.
That sounds like quite the career. So, Ken, today we're talking about favorite foods. Do you have a favorite dish from back home?
Absolutely. My favorite dish is sushi. There's just something magical about it. It's simple yet so complex at the same time.
Sushi, that's a fantastic choice. Can you tell us more about it?
Sure. Sushi is all about balance and precision. There are many different types, like nigiri, which is a slice of fish on top of vinegared rice, and maki, which is rolled sushi wrapped in seaweed. There's also sashimi, which is just the fish itself, and it's all about the quality and freshness of the ingredients.
That sounds delicious. What's the secret to making good sushi?
The key is definitely the fish. It has to be incredibly fresh. But equally important is the rice. It's not just plain rice, it's vinegared rice, which has a specific texture and flavor that complements the fish. Getting the rice right is an art form in itself.
I've heard that sushi chefs in Japan train for years. Is that true?
Yes, it's very true. Becoming a sushi chef or itami is a long and arduous process. It can take decades to master the art. The first few years might be spent just learning how to make the rice perfectly. It's a very disciplined and respected profession.
That's incredible. Do you have any fond memories related to sushi?
Oh, definitely. I remember visiting sushi bars in Tokyo with my family when I was a kid. There's one place in particular that stands out. It was this small, cozy sushi bar near our home. The chef there knew my family, and he always gave me extra pieces of my favorite sushi, which is toro or fatty tuna.
That sounds wonderful. Do you make sushi at home now?
I do, but it's more of a special occasion thing. It's not easy to get the same quality of fish here, and I don't have the same skills as a professional sushi chef. But it's fun to try, and my wife and son enjoy it. It's a way to share my culture with them.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and your love for sushi with us, Ken. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. It's been great chatting with you too. Now I'm craving sushi.
Hello again, everyone. We're back on the streets to find out more about people's favorite foods and the wonderful stories behind them. Our next guest looks like he might have an interesting tale to tell. Hello there. Do you have a moment to chat? Nice to meet you too, Ken. So, tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you from? That's wonderful. Japan is known for its incredible cuisine. What do you do for work here? That sounds like quite the career. So, Ken, today we're talking about favorite foods. Do you have a favorite dish from back home? Sushi, that's a fantastic choice. Can you tell us more about it? That sounds delicious. What's the secret to making good sushi? I've heard that sushi chefs in Japan train for years. Is that true? That's incredible. Do you have any fond memories related to sushi? That sounds wonderful. Do you make sushi at home now? Thank you so much for sharing your story and your love for sushi with us, Ken. It's been a pleasure talking to you.